Is it wrong to use my pregnancy as an excuse to have with my BF less often, despite my attraction and desire for him, because our previous 2 encounters left me feeling disappointed, inadequate and rejected? Not venting or a rant, just long because I thought the background context might be helpful for those commenting and to show a history of our underlying problems. I will include the TLDR here and at the end of the post since I know it is long. TLDR. Had 2 interactions with my BF back-to-back that made feel disappointed, inadequate and rejected. He assures me that our previous and current problems are not due to any lack of attraction to me or failure by me to keep his arousal, but most likely age-related as he is in his 40s. I'm hurt and sad from our last 2 encounters and wish to protect myself from feeling this way again anytime soon. Would it be wrong to use my pregnancy as an excuse to have with him less often to protect my emotions? Background for context, but I won't blame you if you skip to the current problem. I 33F have been dating my boyfriend 40M for a little over 7 months. When we started to have with each other, it had been the first time we both had with someone in about 6 years for both of us. The first time was great, but I don't know if it was just because it was spontaneous and had been a while. It was passionate and you could tell that we were attracted to each other. The following experiences were very hit or miss, and if they were a hit they were okay, good at best but nothing amazing. He had a lot of issues getting or staying hard and sometimes couldn't even, at all. Other times he would, very quickly, like maybe 5 minutes in. I had never experienced this problem with other partners in the past, but he reassured me that it was not an issue of me not satisfying him or him not being attracted to me. Most of my previous partners were also in their early to mid-20s, same age as me at the time, so I thought maybe these were common challenges that I would have to adapt to now that my partner was an older man and I was also older as well. He stopped watching and masturbating in hopes that he could shift his body from being used to and only enjoying certain physical and visual stimulation to being able to be aroused and satisfied by having penetrative. I tried my best to understand this, as I was aware that he had been used to certain stimuli for continuous years, but I was also disheartened as I always thought that the real thing was better for men. I felt inadequacies creep in and struggled to understand how a hand could feel better than me, or how me, in the flesh and in front of him, could not keep his arousal despite all of reassuring there was nothing wrong with me. The starting and stopping during the act and having to use my hand to get him hard again did very little to make me feel confident. And I felt even worse when he would go soft again almost immediately upon entering me, or when he claimed that he simply could not, at all. The times he would be able to, it was usually very quickly and before I could even get a good build-up to climax. He would tell me he was about to or was, and all arousal and build-up for me would drop rapidly since I knew it was going to be over and I would be left wanting to be satisfied. He told me that a previous partner had told him to not worry about her. I found this confusing since I had always had partners in which the objective was that we would equally satisfy each other to the point where they would focus on me having several orgasms before they would allow themselves to have one. My most previous partner would also get heavily aroused by me climaxing, that he would get hard and stay hard without any physical stimulation for himself while manually pleasing me with his hands, toys or mouth. The times in which my current boyfriend would last longer was when he was struggling to. Sometimes I would embellish the degree in which I was enjoying that, in order to end it, since I knew I was going to be left unsatisfied either way. My thinking was that at least one of us would be able to, or maybe I would convince myself that it had been a more enjoyable experience than what it really was. I also experienced some arousal from feeling him fill me with his. There were maybe 3 times in which he did make me, and about a little over handful that I did thoroughly enjoy, despite not usually times when I was almost there and could have been there had he lasted a minute or 2 more. I have found myself masturbating with the use of an external toy more often than I ever did when I was single in order to reach a climax. Because he is older, his libido is different than mine. He prefers every other day or even a few days more in between, whereas I could have daily. Despite it being a rare occurrence in which I do feel completely satisfied, I do still want to partake in with him, and frequently, because I crave this connection with him. It's about the intimacy for me more than it is an act, with the goal being to get off. Outside of our life, he is the most amazing man I have ever met. He is kind, intelligent, handsome, mature, responsible, has a funny side, remains composed and respectful when we have disagreements, is a wonderful son and brother to his family, and I always feel safe, which was not something I had ever felt in previous relationships. Our life struggles are the only pieces of the puzzle that keeps it from feeling perfect. Current problem: when my boyfriend or I initiate, during the week it is very routine. We watch TV until one of us says we are tired or need to go to bed, and then we head to bed. If we face each other, it means we are most likely interested in having. Because his libido is lower than mine, his previously mentioned ed problems, his job being more physical than mine, and him needing to wake up significantly earlier than me, I tend to let him lead if we are going to get physical. If we are, he will kiss me when we are laying on our sides facing each other. I wait to see if he wants to continue kissing, and then if he does, then I move closer. He will touch my body, then touch me down there to get me ready. I have to touch him to get him hard, since running his hands on my body and touching me does very little to arouse him, or at least it feels that way since he is not hard, and I can't tell if he enjoys touching me at all or if it is just a means to an end. Sometimes he is hard but then loses it after touching me, so I don't know. And since he gets very aroused by manual stimulation, it doesn't take long before he wants to have missionary. Sometimes he will suggest a different position, like from behind or me on top, but it's not very often. Although these positions feel the best to me, they make him very fast if he is able to. I don't know how we got into this routine, but it started very soon. I would like to feel desired and craved at times. Yesterday I had sent him a very flirty text in the morning once he was at work. I had never sexted him before, and I wasn't sure if he liked receiving those kinds of messages, and especially at work, so I was subtle but conveyed I was masturbating to the thought of him. We responded back and forth very briefly, then no contact for the rest of the day until later that evening when he confirmed I was coming over. When I came over, we watched TV, then went to bed. We faced each other and he kissed me. I kissed him back and waited for him to continue, basically seeing if our routine would play out. He did, but he hesitated at first. I kissed him back and we made out, but it felt like I was making out with him, then it was a mutually desired thing. He had his hand on my waist, so I thought maybe I am reading into it too much and thus confusing him. However, I got the feeling he really wasn't interested. I tried to kiss him in a more passionate way, but he did not really resp. I expressed this to him and he said he just wasn't in the mood. I was fine with that, but I was upset since it feels almost like a rejection. It does not feel great to kiss someone who clearly does not want to be kissing you but is too polite to say other. Or worse, maybe he thought he might want to but then decided against it once we started kissing because I just didn't do anything to light that arousal in him. I felt rejected, dumb, desperate and embarrassed to the point where I started to cry a bit. Note: I am 5 months pregnant. Yes, he is the father, so I think I would have not cried otherwise had the pregnancy hormones not hit at that moment and made what I was feeling feel like it was 10x worse. I asked him if he was still attracted to me. I am getting bigger and it is an insecurity of mine that he won't like my changing body. He said yes. We were both quiet. He didn't say anything else, so I just rolled over and tried to stop crying. I wasn't upset that we didn't have, but I was upset about the experience of trying to kiss someone who doesn't want you. If you can call it that we had the day prior was also not a great experience, so followed by this I felt a bit devastated. The day prior we attempted to have. It was routine on how it started. He lost his erection while touching me. We paused so he could get the lube so I could touch him better. He never touches me at the same time as I touch him, so my arousal dwindled a bit, but not by much since I do enjoy and get pleasure from touching him. He mounts me in missionary and then shortly loses his erection. I touch him again for a while and then he mounts me again and yet again he loses his erection. I ask him what I can do to help and he suggests that he just finish on me. I'm not feeling great about myself since he can't seem to keep an erection when he is inside of me. His suggestion makes me feel worse. You can get and stay hard but not in me? You're fine as long as you, but I go along and just jerk him off so he can, on my chest. I encourage him so that he, quickly, and it could just be over with. I feel disconnected from him and gross. He doesn't offer to touch me or anything, but I would have probably said no since I was no longer wet or aroused since we started and stopped so often, and I feel like he wouldn't get any enjoyment out of it anyways, and it does not feel good when someone is performing a act on you out of obligation, but mainly I feel like I am inadequate. I felt a bit used. My needs overlooked, and I felt lonely, and being around him after felt strange, like what just happened was a transaction between strangers that was now over. I don't know if or when I would want to have with him again after these 2 interactions back to back. Although my libido, attraction and desire for him has increased since I entered my 2nd trimester, I might blame the pregnancy despite it being an easy pregnancy so far and use it as an excuse to have less often. It's not because I don't want to have or I don't desire him, because I really do. I just don't know if I can take feeling disappointed, inadequate and rejected so soon after. And the disappointment isn't coming from the fact that I am not often or at all when we have. I have adjusted my expectations. It's that I don't get that intimacy. I just feel so hurt and sad from the last 2 encounters, and I feel maybe that I am being dumb for feeling this way. TL. Dr. Had 2 interactions with my BF back to back that made feel disappointed, inadequate and rejected. He assures me that our previous and current problems are not due to any lack of attraction to me or failure by me to keep his arousal, but most likely age-related, as he is in his 40s. I'm hurt and sad from our last 2 encounters and wish to protect myself from feeling this way again anytime soon. Would it be wrong to use my pregnancy as an excuse to have with him less often to protect my emotions?